Hey everyone, welcome back to part 5 of Biology and Human Welfare. In today's class, we are going to study about the effects of parasites on host. Let's begin our class. Generally, parasite cause weakening of the body. Why? Because it is going to take your nutrients, right? It is going to cause weakening of the body of whom? Of their host. Only once we have studied in hyperparasitism that the host is another parasite, right? Host is another parasite. Now, how they cause weakening? By deprivation, that is lack of nutrients, fluid, or the metabolites which are required by the host. So, what will happen? Parasite is going to enter inside the host body and they are going to fight for all these three things. And due to this fighting, what will happen? My host will become weak. They may also cause pathological effect. What is the meaning of pathology? It is nothing but the study of disease. Study of disease. आपको कभी भी कोई बीमारी होती है तो sample is sent into the pathological lab to check out which microorganism has infected you and how much it has infected you. कितना microorganism present है आपकी body में. All these things are going to be checked in the pathological lab. Now, first one is your parasitic castration. Castration word usually हम use करते हैं for the removal of testes. For the removal of testes के लिए we will be using word castration. Now, some parasite cause degeneration of the gonads. What are gonads? It is nothing but the reproductive organ. For example, अगर हम male की बात करें तो हम testes की बात करेंगे and female की बात करें तो हम ovary की बात करेंगे, right? Now, reproductive organ of the host, making it sterile. What is sterile? Sterile is nothing but infertile. They won't be able to produce any baby. They will be doing reproduction process. They will be able to do sexual intercourse, but there won't be any formation of the new babies. This kind of effect on the host, we call it as parasitic castration. For example, Seculina causes the degeneration of gonads of crab. Cassinus minas. Okay, Cassinus minas. Now, what is Seculina? Seculina is nothing but the root-headed barnacle. Barnacle is what class? Barnacle is nothing but the crustacean. What is crustacean? Crustacean is nothing but your aquatic arthropoda. अभी के लिए आपको ये चीजें समझ नहीं आएंगी. Wait for animal kingdom class, right? Arthropoda हमने पढ़ा हुआ था. It is the largest phylum. So, aquatic arthropoda को हम बोलते हैं crustacean. उसका one example है barnacle. Now, here you can see the example of barnacle, and this is the crab. Here you can see barnacle has attached to the crab. So this is an example of parasitic castration. Next one is your neoplasia. New means new cells are formed. New cells are formed. Some parasite cause abnormal growth. किसका abnormal growth? Of the host cell in the tissue. We call it as neoplasia. Neoplasia is nothing but the abnormal growth of the host cell where inside the tissue. This leads to cancer. Neoplasia or neoplasm. Neoplasm को हम क्या बोलते हैं? ट्यूमर भी बोलते हैं. Neoplasm को भी also call it as tumor. So what is neoplasia? It is nothing but the abnormal growth of the host cell which leads to cancer. For example, some viruses are going to cause neoplasia. At the end में हम पूरा summary एक table में देखेंगे, right? Gigantism is nothing but some parasite cause abnormal increase in the size of the host. Mind it. पिछले हमने क्या पढ़ा? Abnormal increase in the cell of the host. Here, what is it? Size of the host. Class, gigantism मतलब ही होता है size बड़ा करना, right? So there is abnormal, which is not normal. Abnormal increase in the size of host, we call it as gigantism. For example, larval stage of Fascicola hepatica, that is nothing but it is going to cause gigantism in the snail. यहाँ पे देखो class, this is the picture of snail. Now, due to fascicola, what is happening? Abnormal increase in the size of snail has seen, right? Now, the next one is hyperplasia. Hyper means more, right? Now, some parasite cause increase in the number of host cell. क्या abnormal लिखा है? Abnormal नहीं लिखा है. It is just an increase in the number of host cell. We call it as hyperplasia. Now, see here, class. When we talk about the hyperplasia and neoplasia, how they are interlinked with each other. Hyperplasia is nothing but the early stage where the cell number increases is, but cell still looks normal. हमने neoplasia में क्या पढ़ा था? Abnormal increase. अगर आप यहाँ picture में देख सकते हो, see here, it is coming out of your skin. It is not normal. You can visualize it. You can see it. But when we talk about the hyperplasia, it is not that abnormal कि it is, you will be able to see it, right? So basically क्या होता है class? How hyperplasia is linked to neoplasia? Hyperplasia can consider to be precursor. यहाँ पे जो number of host cell increase होता है, now अगर वो abnormal way में it is going to increase, so we call it as neoplasia. जब तक तो वो cell number increase हो रहा है, we call it as hyperplasia. When it has increased abnormally, we call it as neoplasia. We call it as neoplasia, right? Now, fascicular hepatica is in the bile duct of sheep. These are the examples. यहाँ पे आप picture देखेंगे, अगर आप इसको ध्यान से देखेंगे, तो here there is an increase, abnormal नहीं है, there is an increase in the number of host cell. यहाँ पे host cell increase हुए हैं, but अभी तक ये abnormal नहीं है, right? Abnormal होता तो we call it as neoplasia, but now it is not abnormal, so we call it as hyperplasia, right? Now, another one is your hypertrophy. Some parasites cause abnormal increase in the size or the volume of the infected host cell. हमने gigantism में क्या पढ़ा था? Abnormal increase in height पढ़ा था, पर पूरे host cell का पढ़ा था. यहाँ पे पूरे host का पढ़ा था. यहाँ पे क्या पढ़ा? Infected of only host cell. जब host cell का abnormal increase in size होता है, we call it as hypertrophy. For example, Plasmodium vivax increases the size of RBC. This increasing the size of RBC, we call it as hypertrophy, right? Next one. Now here see, पूरा एक table में बना दिया है. I want all of you to copy this table. Parasite effect. First one is your parasitic castration. What is it? Denaturation of gonad, and it causes the sterility. For example, Seculina causes degeneration in the gonads of Sarsinus minans. Now, इसमें तो कोई confusion नहीं है. Let's see about the all four. Neoplasia, abnormal growth of the host cell. Gigantism, abnormal. दोनों abnormal है. But यहाँ पे host cell का increase हो रहा है. Abnormal host पूरी body का size हो रहा है. Then next abnormal आप hypertrophy में पढ़ेंगे, जहाँ पे only and only infected cells are being increased. Okay, वापस से बता रही हूँ. Neoplasia is abnormal growth of the host cell. Gigantism, growth of the whole, abnormal growth of the whole body organism. Hypertrophy में abnormal growth होगा, but only infected cell का होगा. Hyperplasia is nothing but only increase in the number of host cell. Hyperplasia जब बढ़ जाता है, it causes neoplasia. Example of neoplasia, some viruses. Example of gigantism, it is a larval stage of fascicular hepatica which causes gigantism in the snail. So it is the intermediate host in the snail. Now, hyperplasia example is your fascicular hepatica in the bile duct of the sheep. Hypertrophy example is your Plasmodium vivax, which increases the size of RBC where in the infected man, right? So that's all we have about the parasitic effect. Rest we will study in the next class.